Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and hey, sitting right next to me is the General Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started every week, man. How's this week for you this past week?
Man, this week has been excellent, Greg, and I'm just excited about what's happening. I mean, I'm not even going to go too far ahead, man. Are you going to tell people who they listening to?
Listen, you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to do.
Listen to you. I'm excited, man, about something going on, man.
Now I'm protesting. No, I'm just kidding, man. It's been a while since I've been here, so I'm still a little rusty myself, man. But right now, for all the folks who are seeing these two faces, you're tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on a Monday night podcast. Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, guaranteed to raise your IQ 10 to 15 points of Brother Love on Sunday nights, just like Thursday night, October 31st, sometimes it's going to be 25 to 30 points that we're going to raise those IQs. So if you want to be a part of tonight's conversation, all you have to do is hit 321-483-7002. Again, that's 321-483-7002 to talk to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida Monday Night Podcast. Brother Love and Greg Jackson. Brother Love, let's get it on.
All right. Hey, brother, you were going on special assignment, and I'm just so excited. Hey, Greg, how was it over there, brother? And everybody, I say over there, people were like wondering where.
Listen, man. So last week I was in trial. So I was actually back in the States last week, but the week before that.
And we told everybody you was in gladiator mode last week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but the week before that, the missus and I hopped across the pond, and we found ourselves in London for a couple of days, just hanging out, having good food, meeting some good
folks. Was that your first time?
Things like that. Yeah, first time in London. But it's not the last. I can tell you that right now. And Brother Love, one of the interesting things, and I wanted to just share this, as we were riding around and different things like that and talking to folks and meeting with folks, and you tell them that you're from Florida, what's one of the first things you think they asked us about when we told them that we're from Florida?
Hell, I don't know. When I tell people I'm from Florida, they talk about hurricanes.
Bingo.
Hurricanes.
The first thing they would ask when they found out that we're from Florida, that the concern that the people from London had, believe it or not, Brother Love, was how did you make it through the hurricane? And that was big news. And listen, man, it warmed my heart to know that even across the pond, people were thinking about us here in the state of Florida, watching the hurricanes, and just wanted to send their well wishes and different things like that. Surprisingly, no one talked about the elections.
Nobody talked about elections.
And for a week, Brother Love, I didn't think about or talk about the elections that were coming up. And in particular, it's crazy because tomorrow is the general election.
Man, tomorrow it's going to be... Hey, but Greg, you know what? There's two things when you mention Florida to anybody.
Yeah.
At least to me. The first thing is hurricanes. What's the second thing?
Oh, Disney World.
What Disney World?
Disney World. And that's what I thought that they were going to ask me, because most times when you say you're from Florida, like you go to, Georgia, you go to, we went to Vail. You talk about Florida, people ask you about Disney World.
You're right.
You don't have to tell them, listen, I mean, Disney is Disney.
Do we get any kind of endorsement, Greg, if we say, normally when people win the Super Bowl, they ask them what?
Where you going?
Where you going?
Where you going? That's right.
But I don't know, man. We don't have Disney yet as an endorser, so I don't know if I want to go there yet.
Listen, man, they can always jump on board and write a couple of checks for Let's Talk Nation.
For Let's Talk Nation. Greg, before we go and do a deep dive into the election, man, there was something that took place downtown Orlando, man, this weekend.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Brother Love, it particularly was a sad story for a couple of different reasons. For folks who do not know, have not been in the news or was consumed with election talk, because election, that is big news right now. We're going to be talking about that, obviously. But on Halloween, Hallows Eve, in downtown Orlando, 2 individuals were shot and killed. And the person that shot and killed these 2 individuals and wounded 6 or 9 others, I can't remember what it was a 17-year-old, Brother Love. And so this 17-year-old found himself in downtown Orlando. I think it was like at 1 o'clock in the morning. He had just turned 17 in September, so he wasn't like, not like it really matters. I mean, but he had just turned 17, 16 years old, probably should have still been in school, should have been home, preparing to go to school the next day. He found himself in downtown Orlando, negatively affecting not only his life, but the life of 2 individuals and their families, as well as 6 to 9 other individuals in
Yeah,
their
yeah.
families. So,
But Greg, let's give some background to this, because I think over the past year or maybe the year and a half, the city of Orlando has been addressing and trying to deal with, I guess, Greg, there's no other way to say it, the level of violence that's been taking place
Yeah.
in downtown Orlando. And
Yeah.
you don't, when you talk about drawing businesses in, you don't want to give a whole lot of credence to what's been taking place. But man, the fact is, the city of Orlando, and got to give much props to Chief Smith, Eric
Right,
Smith,
right,
with the
right.
city chief of Orlando, Police Orlando. But Greg, so this is something that they've been working on, man, for a year and a half. There's been discussions about relaxing some of the rules because businesses downtown, they've been saying, hey, look, the more you block off the streets, the more you set criteria that we have to pay for security if we have so many patrons that are visiting the businesses and things, the more you're pushing business out instead of pulling it in. But then this weekend, it justifies a lot of the things that have taken place. But Greg, what would you say needs to be done to try to address this? Because I don't think it's any magic wand to make this go away.
So here's the interesting thing. Before the last election, where there was a change to constitutional carry here in the state of Florida, there were actually checkpoints in downtown Orlando to where the police officers were set up to where they could potentially catch individuals who were trying to enter downtown with firearms or who should not have had firearms. And so since the constitutional carry law passed, my understanding is that Orlando OPD has actually removed those checkpoints. And so one of the safeguards that could have been in place that potentially, I'm not going to say that it's fail-proof, but one of the safeguards that potentially could have thwarted this particular unfortunate incident was a checkpoint. And the other point, Brother Love, you're absolutely right. City of Orlando, what they've said is that you can't be downtown or parking garages after 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop people from parking around Lake Eola, the other roundabout areas, and walking into downtown Orlando. And so, I think the way that they're trying to handle it is probably the right way. I understand and I sympathize with the businesses that, yeah, you may be losing business because you're trying to keep people safe, but guess what? If you are effectively keeping people safe, more people are going to want to come downtown.
You're right.
Because I've abandoned downtown Orlando. I refuse to go to downtown Orlando because I don't feel safe in downtown Orlando, and I don't want to deal with foolishness in downtown Orlando.
Well, a couple of things that you just said, man, and I want to just kind of go back a little bit. If those deterrents are in place,
Yeah.
then you may very well have individuals that
They want to come back and return.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But then something took place, Greg, and our heart goes out to the families of those individuals that lost their lives, those individuals that were injured. I don't know if you saw the video that was displayed all across the news, but
From where? What was the video?
from doing the shooting.
Yeah, but from where? What was the shot from the video?
I think it was one of those poll cams.
Oh, I thought
where
you,
saw-
you mean the actual shooting?
The actual shooting.
I thought you meant like the press conference afterwards.
No, well, I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go to that. But
I apologize. I was laughing about that. We should have been laughing, but it's a reason. It's a
reason,
reason
yeah.
why we are proud individuals right now. But
and we'll
go
talk about
ahead. I'm
it.
sorry.
But the poll cams downtown showed how quickly
Yeah.
OPD
without firing a shot.
without firing a shot. But
Yeah.
here's the other thing, and one of our good friends, Captain Kip Beecham,
Mhm.
he often talks about when people are running away, the guys that are running toward danger, and man, you don't have to look any
Who are the
further.
guys running towards danger?
Law enforcement.
There you go. So you left
But
that
I
part
left that
out.
part
Yeah,
out.
you left- yeah, the people got to know that's what they do.
It was
Yeah.
about 8 to 10 OPD officers, man, in Greg, almost 2 seconds, that swarmed upon this individual. And so, Greg, man, my heart goes out to the families of the members that of those individuals that lost their lives or was injured. But man, I gotta give it up to law enforcement. They ran in, and boy, did they address that issue. But then the press conference.
But wait, before we get to that, though, Brother Love, let's address this. What state does a 17-year-old's mind have to be in order for them to go out on on a celebratory evening, when people are out having fun downtown, pull out a gun and shoot and kill one person, and then go how many other blocks he went from there and shoot and kill another person and injure other people? What is going on with young people right now to where the state of mind for a 17-year-old, instead of being in school, instead of focusing on his future, instead of thinking about things that will help him to be successful, a business owner or whatever the case may be, his focus is on going out and shooting and killing people?
Greg, I don't think it's any excuse for it. I mean, when we talk about what state of mind, I'm with you in having that discussion. But, Greg, I strongly believe, yeah, let's do some things to prevent this from happening. But, Greg, I do believe that some consequences, man, have to be put in place to deter the next one.
Let me ask you this question. How much money did the Democratic Party raise in the first month of Kamala Harris's campaign?
Was it 48, 78? What was it? 100? Greg.
Think about it. Go back
Yeah.
and look at the numbers. Go back and look
Oh,
at
I
the
know it
numbers.
was a lot of money.
It
I
was
know
a
it was a
whole
lot of money.
What if, Brother Love, just
Yeah.
what if?
I'm with
Just humor me for a moment. What if the Democratic Party, and because I'm going to hold my party accountable. I'm not going to say what if the Republicans. That's I'm going to let you
But
do
that's
that.
both sides, yeah.
But what if the Democratic Party, instead of focusing so much on putting money into political campaigns and raising hundreds of millions of dollars for political campaigns, would go and put in that same type of effort into underserved communities, Brother Love?
Right.
What if that were to happen? What if, Brother Love, $50 million were dropped into the community where this young man came from? What if that were to happen?
Greg, I would say that there would be a change overnight. But you know what? That same energy that we're talking about, we're not talking about investing in communities just specifically for crime prevention. Greg, the doggone task force that we headed, some years ago, it talked about economic development. It talked about job training. It talked about housing. So when you go to what ifs, come on, man.
No, listen, but I am talking about crime prevention because what are the signs or what are the things that you look for in determining violence in communities? A lack of economic opportunities and violence in those areas. And
You're
so
right.
I'm absolutely focused on, and that's why I say, what
And
was
it's
the
not just
mindset-
Democrats. It's not just Democrats. It's shared responsibility.
But that's why I said, I'm going to put the onus on my part.
Okay.
And that's why I say, what was the mindset of a 17-year-old being out that time of night? And what if there were monies pumped or funneled into that community? Would that have changed anything? Doc Polite, we see you with the hat on, the glasses on, and the
Yeah,
jacket.
you know
What's
I
going
had.
on, man?
Hey, you know I had to jump in here. Listen, the Democrats are never going to solve that problem. Why? Because it's to their benefit. It's to their benefit to have these broken communities. Because curing those things would make those people independent thinkers.
You know what, Doc? I'm not gonna cheerlead, even though it almost makes me go in that direction. But here's something on the other side, Doc, that I'm gonna say. Representative David Smith, Republican, District 38. One of the things that Greg, we're not necessarily trying to jump into a party affiliation, but Republican Representative David Smith saw fit to invest in responsible fatherhood, and now you have those initiatives taking place in Orange and Seminole County, and that does pay dividends, Greg, when you're investing in men that are investing back in their kids.
I mean, but now listen, I can't let you throw a Republican name out there, Brother Love, in all fairness, without allowing me to retort, if you would. When we talk about, on the local level, when we talk about this touching the streets and touching the ground in a positive way, if we talk about, Orlando Commissioner Bakari Burns.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
the work that he's done and the programs that he is facilitating and promoting in underserved or African American communities for young boys and young men. But Doc, I apologize, man. We cut you off. What you got, man?
But I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of the DNC. They have, for generations and generations, invested counterproductive measures in solving the problem of poverty and marginalization in African American communities. Why? Because they need to keep their most loyal base tied to them. So we have a generation of people who have been taught that Democrats are the solution, the only solution. And if we go over and ask somebody else, we're gonna, they racist over there, or they're not gonna listen. And it goes back to the thing we always say. Well, did you go ask them?
Doc, one thing that you're not going to do is you're not going to see me rush to the defense of the DNC or the National Democratic Party, because I could not disagree with them anymore. In terms of being a Democrat, yes, I'm a Democrat, but I am a local level Democrat because I am able to and allowed to go and talk to individuals who are not Democrats, who are Republicans.
Are you saying you're allowed to think freely?
Absolutely. 132%.
Why not?
I'm not going to rush to the assistance or the aid of the National Democratic Party, because I feel as if the underserved black community has been alienated by the National Democratic Party. And on the local level is where I'm a Democrat. That's why I see abilities to work together, to reach across the aisle, to go and talk to people who don't necessarily have the same political affiliation but have the same views as you in helping the community. So yeah, listen, go ahead and talk about the DNC all day long. I ain't gonna stop.
But think about it. It's the argument that so many African Americans have about the Democratic Party. Everybody can come in to the party, no matter how late they come, and get ahead of African Americans to the party.
Unless, Dr. White, unless you are an African American male who at one point in time was a Republican who decided, you know what, maybe I do want to give the Democratic Party a try. Because if you are an African American male who was at one point in time a Democrat, you are treated like less than human on the Democratic Party side. I remain a Democrat, even though I was a Republican before, but I've been a Democrat probably longer than I was a Republican. But I'm still a Democrat, as I said, because I am a local level Democrat. But the Democratic Party has absolutely found a way to alienate African American males who were trying to come back to the party and to be a part of and to contribute to the party. So much so until I don't even like dealing with Democrats on the national level. I deal with Democrats on the local level. But even then, it's embarrassing how Democrats treat African American males who are conservative. It's absolutely embarrassing.
I'm laughing because I'm laughing because it took me back to the story I told Rod the other day about Charlie Crist. And it so personifies the problem. They don't see the value of us. Okay? Because I've been in that room with mostly African American males trying to be significant in the party, and we were told there was nothing for us.
Yep.
We, and we see them championing gay rights and women's rights and everybody's right, other than the issues that are critical to African American males.
Now, you know what, Doc? I got to pump your brakes there, brother. Because they do find us to be a benefit when they're slipping in the polls. All of a sudden, they got to call out, and we talked about this, they got to call out somebody to come pull us, tug our chain and tell us to come back. That's when we're a benefit to the Democratic Party.
It looks like...
But you know what, Doc, before we get too far downfield, because we're already jumping, Greg, you and I were going to talk about real quick, and Doc, we're getting that feedback real quick, but we were going to talk about that press conference. And the press conference, and Doc,
how we got down that way? We were talking about the press
we were going to say, and Doc, you saw the press conference, and the reason why I want to talk about the press conference is because that press conference showed some leadership from the state attorney's office. And I'm talking about the 9th Judicial Circuit State Attorney, and I'm talking about none other than Andrew Bain. Man, to see him at that press conference, to see him taking a position that, hey, look, we're working with our law enforcement partners. Here's what we're going to do. And they were in lockstep with one another. And that is, I got to say, Greg, the first state attorney that I saw looking like he was coming off a scene from Bad Boys. Doc, and
yeah, I have evolved into a super fan of his because I like no nonsense people.
Him being
yeah, and we seem to be generating more of those young men like that. Bakari Burns, you know, he has a stance like that, and what's his name that was
Bruce.
yeah, not Bruce, the other young man, and he lost his race.
Oh, you talking about Javaris McCurdy?
No, not McCurdy.
Now, who you talking about then?
God.
I'm trying to help you out. Now,
Over
you
in
don't know that thing.
over in Old Coy.
Greg, you know who we talking about, man. I'm getting the block now. But going back to, and I'm gonna just say this so that we can keep moving. But Andrew Bain, state attorney for the Ninth Judicial Circuit, man. When I tell you, he showed leadership, stepping out and talking about what are the next steps. And it was, to me, I saw to serve and protect when I saw images of him with law enforcement addressing the sad affair that took place downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and-
I'm, in full candor and disclosure, though, that wasn't the press conference I was talking about.
Which one you were talking about?
I was talking about, but no, I appreciate that was great also. But the press conference I was talking about was the press conference that our very own brother Armando was a part of. To set
yeah,
up. And,
he did a good job.
Yeah, listen, and listen.
Yeah.
I thought we would transition to that, but
Well, let's go to Armando. Yes.
But I wanted to, give big kudos to a strong brother and family member of Let's Talk Nation. He is our Minister of Communication. That's what we call him. We have the titles. Brother Armando was assisting with the press conference of one of the gentlemen who was actually injured in this unfortunate shooting on October 31st. He reached out to us. He was proud of himself, and so guess what? As proud as he was of himself, we're 10 times more proud of
absolutely.
Brother Armando
Yeah.
for the work that he did. So.
Yeah, you know, I had to text my boy right away because I watched it and I realized it was his work.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you can tell
I was
just
like-
from the work?
Oh yeah, I know.
Nice,
Mic
nice.
placement, everything was lined up right.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and you could tell somebody that was professional set that spot up.
Oh yeah. And,
So,
and,
kudos to him.
And that's a part of Let's Talk.
Let's
not
Talk
just
Nation,
Let's,
huh?
but a part of Let's Talk
That's
Nation.
right.
and you know,
That's
we
right.
talk about OPD, we talk about State Attorney Andrew Bain, but boy, when you look at Orlando Health and how they responded, and that young man that was grazed
Yeah.
by that bullet. I mean, hey, Brother Armando, we are proud that you are part of this family, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. But no, listen, no doubt, don't go too far, man. We want to talk a little bit about the significance of tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a historic day. It has been a great build-up. It started back in January of this year when the Republican Party started lining up and putting candidates in front of us to make some determination and consideration. And Donald J. Trump said he was not going to be a part of that circus, and he, without going to a single debate or forum or whatever you want to call it, was able to secure the nomination from the Republican Party. And then in June, we saw him and Joe Biden go face to face, head to head, and it wasn't good for Joe Biden. And then
That wasn't head to head.
Hey, what wasn't good, and I don't know if it was you or Greg that mentioned that, because see, I'm thinking that, from a Republican perspective, that we goaded Democrats to come and do an early debate. But I think one of you two was saying
No.
somebody in his camp.
No. I'm not saying from his camp. I'm saying somebody from the Democratic Party.
Correct.
The national. Okay, so yeah, from his camp,
Yeah.
because he is the leader of the Democratic Party as a president.
Yeah.
He is the head of that party.
But to that point, I'm sitting back thinking, man, was somebody in his camp
They
that
set him
smart?
up. Listen, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
They set him up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
what it is.
and-
But
and
they
it's
set him
so-
up to their advantage.
Yeah, because you can see the cognitive decline. I watch the news every day.
If the
we got
debate
see-
had taken place when normal presidential debates take place in September,
he
been too late.
he
Could've
would have
too
been
late.
a bubbling hot mess.
Yeah. And so this lines us up because shortly thereafter, Joe Biden stepped down from running as the Democratic nominee of the Democratic Party for the Democratic Party, and in steps his vice president, Kamala Harris, who did not garner a single primary vote in 2020 or for the 2020 election.
left the stage probably one of the top.
She was not probably. She was the first person
First one
to
to-
lead the race, and then she moves into the place of the nominee. You know, and listen, however it happened, it happened. I'm not holding it against Kamala Harris. I'm holding it against the party on that one. And so she steps in, and she now becomes the presumptive candidate for the Democratic Party, and that gets us to where we are now in the historic nature of the election that's going to be taking place tomorrow.
Man, so Greg, with that being the case, when we talk about, and you know, we like anybody else, we don't put a whole lot of merit in polling, but we pay attention to what's out there. So national polling, what do we see?
I mean, so from a national standpoint, Doc, and get this, right now, well, let me take a step back. It depends on the pollsters that you're looking at. Poll 523 said that as of October 22nd, Kamala Harris was actually leading. She had a small lead in the national polls, like 1.4%. However, Clear Real Politics, I believe it is, projected that as of October 26th, that Donald J. Trump now was leading in the national average, meaning that there are more votes, popular votes, technically in his favor.
Great. Can you break that? See, that you said something that a lot of people only pay attention to, and Doc, you know what I'm about to talk about. The difference between popular votes and popular votes don't get a president elected. What gets the president elected is the electoral votes.
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely.
So can you break that down for us, man?
And people are always talking about, hey, we got to get rid of the electoral college and different things like that. But the electoral college is in place because it evens out how each state is able to participate in electing a president. Because if we were to go sheerly or strictly by popular vote, you can have states like New York and California that technically and literally can drive who the president and who is the leader of the free world just
because of the population.
Because of the population.
But we have that now.
Well, no, because remember the electoral college does not break it up from that. You have to have a certain number of votes.
I know that, but we have states like, let's take Wyoming and Montana. They should not be on parity with other states.
So
and
now,
have a say.
But Doc, you do have some states that in the electoral college, and we, a good person, an excellent person to have, because see, Greg knows this stuff, but a person that we normally have on the show, Dr. Jewett, Dean, Professor from University of Central Florida. But here's the other hook, and I'll let Greg explain this piece. You have some states that it's a winner take all when it comes to the electoral college vote. But then you have some other states that will divvy them up, correct?
Yeah, that's right. But now, to that point though, Doc, you have to understand this now. When you talk about Wisconsin only has 10 electoral votes.
Yeah, but I'm saying those populations, those low population states, they tend to vote as a block, and that gives them more power. And that's how Republicans win.
No, but Doc, I'm gonna run counter to that with you on this, because here's what I'm gonna say to you, and that's why this brotherhood, this ain't nothing but love. But here's where I'm gonna make the counter. That's when you see the different parties invest their advertising, their marketing, how many times they go to a state. You haven't necessarily seen a whole bunch of activity in Wyoming, Doc. You haven't seen the investment in different parties in Wyoming because of the few electoral votes that they have. You have seen investment in big states such as Pennsylvania that has 19, Greg, I believe, electoral college votes. Florida has about 30.
No, it has 30.
It has 30. So this is where you see the big advertising, and this is where you see the marketing.
Listen. Wyoming has 3 electoral college votes.
I know, but when you put that in with Utah, Arizona, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota.
All right, so Utah has 6. So you're talking about 9. Who else you said?
See, Doc, you did this. See, you did what?
No, but I'm saying,
because listen, because you spend all of that time in those small states, and all you got to do, you go to Florida and Texas, you got 70 electoral college votes right there.
Right.
Man, I'm going to ask Bishop McCray to pray for you now, Doc, because you don't walk into that trap.
That's a conversation. That's all love.
But see, you see what Greg, and again, it comes back down to The investment. Doc, something else that you, me, and Greg both talked about, and this was a couple of years ago when the Democratic Party invested in, what was it, 200,000, or I don't know how much money it was.
In the state of Florida?
In the state of Florida.
For the Hispanic vote?
For the Hispanic vote.
$150,000.
$150,000. But you didn't see an investment for the African American vote.
No.
You know, and you know, and I mentioned Bishop McCrae's name for a reason, because here's one of the guys, man, and I'm not gonna put him on one party or the other, but here's somebody who says, I'm gonna be holding discussion and holding court with individuals that's gonna improve the lives of the people that I'm trying to help. And so I say that, Doc, to say that when we talk about Wyoming, Idaho, and these places, man, all you got to do is look at how many electoral votes they have.
So listen,
I
to,
get
to,
that.
to that point. So a candidate can technically win 270 electoral votes with just 20 states. If they play it right, they can win those 270 votes.
Yeah, but
because
you got,
I mean that's all you need. Listen, whether you win by 200, whether you win by 1 vote or 100 votes, 270 is all you need.
So so if you're strategic, if you're one of those strategic individuals, you're telling where to invest. Let's get these states.
So that's why they're looking at places like Arizona. California is off the map. That is a Democrat stronghold. New York is a Democrat stronghold. So you have 54 and 28 electoral votes right there alone. Texas has more electoral votes than those two large populous states right there. And so so that's why you look at it from the standpoint of not going by the popular vote, because Texas has 70 electoral college votes, whereas 54, I mean technically it's only like 12 off, but like 54 and 28 is 70, 72, 82.
Hey, you know what,
So that's
brother?
12 off.
I got to tell you, I was, you know, Dr. Jewett is somebody we love to invite, but boy, you holding class tonight.
but listen, you know, okay, I'm looking at the numbers now.
Yeah.
Before 2016, Democrats routinely had 242 electoral votes to Republicans 179. Since that time, after that, Democrats went down to 193 and Republicans went up to 154 solid. So those swing states and states who will sway back and forth, they are the key to the election now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Doc, on that note, and Greg and I was having this conversation before we went live, I think it goes back 2 years now, Greg, that for the first time, the state of Florida, Republicans outnumbered registered voters of Democrats for the first time 2 years ago, and then that margin has only increased.
Yep.
So when you look, Doc, at states such as Florida, there's the investment in Florida, but Florida is so red to, you're looking at other states like Pennsylvania, those states that got large numbers of electoral college votes. And that's how you play this game.
But listen, the loss of Florida is the local Democratic Party's problem, and it's their fault.
Yep.
Hey,
It
but
is absolutely.
and Doc, I'm not going to disagree, but what I will say, put a comma in what you just said, and that is to say to black folk, to the African American community, that, hey, look at what's best for your community. Look at how to invest in your community when it comes to jobs, when it comes to social services. Start having the conversation with other parties besides just that party you constantly go to. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep. So, you know, for me, looking at it, I've seen the decline because I was a very active member when I lived in Orange County. And the choices, and not all of them, but a lot of the choices that were made by the party, by Democrats, was just crazy to me.
Well, Doc, I'm going to throw something out here, and I know Greg is working on something, but according to 538 polls, Harris supposedly held the national average lead of 1.4, but I believe it's, that was down from 1.7, right?
It was down from 1.7 from September. But as I said, it depends on the poll that you look at, because 538 is saying that that as of October 22nd, she was ahead. But the Real Clear Politics poll is saying that now Donald Trump has pulled ahead with the popular vote. Listen, this is what's very clear right now. This is still going to be a very close election, extremely close election. And it's going to boil down to how people feel they're doing now versus to how they were doing while Donald Trump was president. Because you clearly have something to compare it against.
Mm-hmm.
You have the time when Trump was president, and you have the time when Biden and Harris administration was running this country. So that's what people are going to have to make the decision on, and that's what makes this such a historical election. Because when have you ever had the ability and the opportunity to select between two candidates when you've actually had a chance to see what they can do?
You're right. And the other thing too, Greg, I gotta say this, man, don't let polls tell you what to do.
Right.
Don't let polls influence you. Look at what's gonna benefit you, your family, your occupation.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
most
so-
people, unfortunately, are going to let polls tell them what to do.
But I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Doc.
Yeah.
But boy, think about how bad and how wrong the polls have been over the last few years.
I mean, listen, they were completely wrong in 2016.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're right.
no one
Yeah.
had Trump winning in 2016.
Nope, not even close.
Yeah, and I mean, right
They
now.
didn't even have. Remember, they didn't even have him winning the nomination.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah. And I mean, right now, he's in the hunt, and he is either a little ahead of Harris, slightly behind Harris, or neck and neck with Harris. I mean, remember this time during the 2020 election cycle, Trump was getting dusted by Joe Biden, absolutely dusted by Joe Biden, and that is not the case now. And that's the scary part for Democrats, is that despite everything that's been said, despite everything that's been done, there's a very real chance, not necessarily tomorrow, because I don't think this election is going to be determined on tomorrow, but sometime within the next 2 to 4 weeks, Donald J. Trump will potentially be named the 47th president of these United States. That is a very real possibility.
Hey, let me ask the question, Greg, and I think you've already gone through it a little bit, but some of the key battleground states. We were talking about why you see as much traffic in Pennsylvania as you have. What other states, man, do you see people? I mean, both parties vying for that are toss-ups?
I mean, listen, and Doc, you know this. I mean, North Carolina is. I mean, they're running back and forth in North Carolina like it's nobody's business. That is a state right now that they're vying for. Georgia is still, they're considering that one to be a toss-up state, but Georgia appears to be, turning somewhat in the direction of Trump after he lost Georgia in 2020. You're talking about Wisconsin is also in the hunt right now. You're talking about Michigan, but I believe that Michigan is probably going to go the way of Harris because of the unions that's in that state. And also you have one member of the squad, used to be 2 members of the squad, that's in Michigan right now that's stomping for Kamala Harris.
Greg, I know we've always seen celebrities engaged and participating in national politics. Do you think it's gotten
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And listen, I think that, and I see this more so on the Democratic side, that they are now going to rappers and these people to see if they can influence this younger generation to do something. And these rappers do not have influence over these young people the way that these politicians think. I mean, remember they had Megan Thee Stallion come out on the stage with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, I think that if she had really and truly done her homework, that is not the person that you want on the stage with you. And don't get me wrong, listen, when I'm working out, I listen to thought stuff, whatever it is that Megan Thee Stallion does. It's got a nice beat. I can run
Thought stuff.
do. I mean, listen, I can run to it. I can work, give you a nice little workout, nice little, But that's not somebody that I'm going to put in front of people and say, hey, take me seriously. She had, so that Beyonce got Kamala Harris booed. Y'all know that?
Yeah. But also you also have a lot of this backfiring with the population that you talked about earlier, Greg, and that is black men. Man, do you see the backlash with Magic Johnson? Do you see the backlash with former President Obama?
Yeah, Obama,
Well,
Stephen A.
and
Smith,
that's something that Democrats tend to do. They put symbolic or patronizing stuff out there and expect us to react. I don't care that Meg The Stallion was there. I mean, that's
Oh,
not gonna-
listen. When was the last time anybody took something seriously that D.L. Hughley had to say?
Hey,
Listen, man, tell me a joke. I mean, look, that,
I'm laughing, Doc.
That's not somebody that I look to. Now, listen, are there certain comedians that wield the political acumen that you take them seriously? There are a few. For instance,
name some.
Bill Maher. Bill Maher is one. He's
Okay.
a comedian, but he is very politically astute. As
Mm-hmm.
funny and as crazy as this may sound, Dave Chappelle is
Yo, he's deep.
extremely
He's deep.
politically
Yeah.
astute.
Yeah.
People like Jon Stewart, extremely
Mm-hmm.
politically astute. If you go back to the days of old, you have people like Johnny Carson. Listen, you
Yeah.
have people like Jim Brown. You have people
Yeah.
like Lou Alcindor, who then became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
You have people like Muhammad Ali, who took political stances. Those were people that could be taken seriously. These comedians, Dick Gregory was another one. I mean,
Yeah.
you really truly have people in
Yeah.
communities who happen to be entertainers that folks would gravitate to and would listen to.
And they would lend their
You-
voice, and they'd
you-
be willing to sacrifice their influence.
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah, they
What
put
they
it all
believe in.
online. They put it
Yeah.
online.
But-
Guess
but
who?
the-
Guess who? Is politically astute, and I never would have believed it.
Who?
It's a rapper. It's a she.
Who?
Cardi B.
Now you're a comedian.
No.
Now
No,
you're a comedian.
go and research.
I have listened to Cardi B. Now, listen. Now,
No.
we're going to tell jokes, but I know you're being serious right now.
No.
Did you just say? Now,
I
listen,
said
if you
Cardi
going
B.
to say, I thought you were going to say somebody like Kim Kardashian or something like You're
No.
talking about foul-mouthed Cardi B, who said that she drugged and robbed men when she was a stripper, who basically got onto her page.
and
in
what does
October
that have
and
to do
said,
with her body of
F
knowledge?
the Democratic Party,
Wait a minute.
F the president,
What-
F this, they're not doing nothing for us.
What-
She actually got on, she was talking at the Kamala
What
Harris
does that have to do
rally,
with
and she
her
started talking about the
knowledge?
fact that
See,
Trump
I
said
can't get
that
on
nothing
here and
was
talk
said.
with him because
Because
he's a
I can't
lawyer.
take you
He gonna talk.
serious.
No,
I can't take
you
you
gonna
serious.
run all
Doc,
over me.
it's so
See,
seriously.
If you'd have called anybody else, Doc, I'd have been jumping in trying to save you.
You gotta talk serious on this show, man. I thought we said we was ready
no,
to
but she has a better
You're
grasp.
on mute now, Doc.
Yeah, cut his mic off.
I know Mondo ain't cut my mic off.
Yeah, cut his mic off. Good work on my that
Nah.
was good.
Go and research it.
I have
Now,
researched
just
her.
listen. That doesn't.
He
Her
don't know that
behavior
she
does not
she in your punch list.
Yeah.
translate over to her intellect and her
Of course
understanding.
it does. Have you
Shoot, I got a cousin that smoked more rocks than a caveman, but know the Bible.
What they got to do with politics?
I'm just saying that's a comparison. He knows the Bible, but he still smoke crack.
Anyway,
I thought he had his hat on. I thought that hat was supposed to make you smart, Doc.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna protect my brothers. Anyway,
Hey, I thought them glasses was supposed to make you smart, Doc.
Anyway, hey, let me say this. Doc, I'm going to help you. Doc, I'm going to help you on this. Anyway, when has there ever been such a time, and Greg, I'm pointing this to you and Doc, that political parties targeted and focused on black men? I've never seen it before like this.
No.
Never.
No, and listen, that goes to the struggles of the Democratic Party right now, because what they've realized is that African American males have decided that they are no longer going to be pawns in this game. If you tell us that you're going to do something in our community, despite listen, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mind saying it, African American females have long since been one of the strongest voting blocks in this country. But African American males and African American females are not the same. Our interests are not the same, unless we're talking about family issues and we're talking about marriage and different things like that. And so, because of that, African American males have realized that what the Democratic Party has done is they have aligned issues that they think are important to us based on what African American females have told us what's important to us.
Hey, with
And
that,
you can't do that.
I gotta just kind of, this is a perfect segue and we can continue, but we were honored to speak
So now why
to
you want to do that after I just said that?
Metamorphosis.
No, I know that. But why you want to do that after I just said that?
Hey, because hey, gotta give them a shout out. Hey, Doc,
We got to give them their own
Your
pocket.
own- give them
You
their own
can't-
pocket.
You can't, listen, man, you can't do that after I just said what I just said.
No, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Can we give it 3 minutes?
Okay, we'll give it 3 minutes. We'll give it 3
Doc,
minutes.
Doc, you see what he just did, man? You can't do that. After I just said what I just
I
said.
ain't
I know
talking
what
to
you're
you.
saying. I know what you're saying, but
You pull
that-
your
that-
lawyer supercade out on me. So you talked all over me. So
Hey, but Greg,
Instead-
to your point, but
I put what?
your lawyer supercade.
Greg, good for that now.
I
Hey,
know.
but you know what? Again, I will say I've never seen political parties go after for their vote black men like this
I've
ever
never seen
before.
Doc, honestly, Doc, have you ever seen it like this? I mean,
No, I think they're trying to scapegoat us if she loses. Really.
Escape. Hey, but okay, Doc. To that point,
Yeah.
I will go back and also say when you look at individuals, and I don't know what their stance has been as of late, but man, when you see individuals such as Charlemagne the God and his advocacy going on the View, telling the View stop bullying people
yeah,
for
but
their
listen,
vote.
listen, they give him a little bit of change, and he lines up right
He
behind them.
did. And then what about what is it? Tight Mike?
No, you're talking about Killer Mike.
Killer Mike.
Yeah, but Killer Mike can't fall for that.
Okay.
Ice Cube ain't falling for that.
Because Charlemagne has fallen in line. But
Yeah.
come on, Roland Martin did the same thing when they had this
Listen, man, Roland did what he was supposed to do.
get paid.
Roland
Yeah.
did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, but Shannon Sharp.
What is Shannon Sharp do?
I mean, didn't he have Kamala Harris on the
Oh
show?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, she's going.
but they're writing big checks, man.
Listen, they're supposed to.
It's business.
They're supposed to. I mean, listen, it's called funding and campaigning and putting your money where you can get the most votes. And if they think that Club Shay Shay listeners
Club
are going
Shay
to provide those, listen, that's what it is. If they think the Club Shay Shay listeners are going to garner them the votes to win this election, then pay the money. Pay the money. I don't think that it will, but pay the money.
But you know what? I'm gonna go back to something else too.
What?
What, Greg? It goes back 6 years now when there was a gubernatorial election in the state of Florida, and 34,000, and you always know what that number is. 34,000 black female voters decided that they weren't going to allow anybody else to say where they could send their kids to school, and that was the difference maker when you looked at Governor DeSantis being elected.
It's been 3 minutes.
Okay, it's been 3 minutes.
And that was a good. That was a good.
That was a good segue?
That was a good segue. Now we got it. Now we good.
So, Greg,
Yes, sir.
we were honored, and man, I tell you, it was a great honor and privilege to actually be invited to have a discussion and a dialogue about Project 2025.
Absolutely. And listen, the group that asked us to come and sit down and have that discussion in only the way that the dynamic duo can do was in the format of how we talk and how we convey information with Dr. Polite. It's just by having a conversation and inviting people into the conversation was Metamorphosis Global. Metamorphosis Global, Ms. Gloria Crawford Henderson, as well as Ms. Gail Ridgway, the founders of that organization, were kind enough to ask Brother Love and I to come and just give insight and thought about Project 2025. What some of the opposing views are. If there's anything that we can agree to as a Democrat and as a Republican, and even more so than we do here on the show, Dr. Polite, Brother Love and I were not. We were more like this. I mean, there were things that we just couldn't agree on. But obviously, in being a local Democrat, there were things that we could agree on.
And it was a civil conversation, not just between us, because there's things we agree and disagree, but also with those women, man, those ladies, and the feedback that came back from them, man. Yeah, we're not gonna always agree, but man, just to be invited to that platform to have a conversation about something that is, I mean, I'm gonna just say it, that's been highly controversial.
Highly controversial, but the question is it something that can really and truly be implemented? And that's the question, because one person cannot implement Project 2025. The other thing is that Donald Trump has said that he has nothing to do with Project 2025, and unless there's information to show otherwise, I can only believe him. That's how, my dislike for Donald Trump does not mean that I'm just going to throw him under the bus and say everything he says is a lie. Listen, I'm the type of person where I will listen to and I will do my research. I don't care who it is.
And we had a conversation about taking emotion out of conversation.
Absolutely, you got to. What you saying, Doc? Doc look like you want to say something. What you want to say, Doc?
Nah, I don't want to say that. I can't say what I want to say on the show. I call Rod and tell it.
Hey, this is a podcast, man. You can say whatever you want to on the podcast.
No, I can't.
Oh.
Hey, we're down to the last 10 minutes, and I want us to have some time to talk about the local races that are taking place.
Absolutely. But listen, so just kind of wrapping up on what's taking on nationally, as we indicated, tomorrow, November 5th, it is the general presidential election day, but there are going to be other elections and other offices that folks are going to be voting for. You have a U.S. Senate race here in the state of Florida that is going to be the focus. You also have some congressional races that's going to be the focus. You have some statewide races, whether it's state Senate or state House representative races. But then you have those races that really and truly touch us on a daily basis, which are the local elections. One of which, let's start with the supervisor election race. Right now, that office is being held by, Brother Glenn Gelzine, who's doing an outstanding job.
Yes.
Now, I will say this, brother. I got to say this. The voting polls, the interactive map was excellent. But when I would go to some of the polls where it said 15 minutes or less, there was an hour and a half line there.
Mm. Well, you know what?
And I can't do it. And I went to one voting poll, and the lady told me that there was a voting site in a location that we went to, and there was no voting site there. So I left the line, because she said there's nobody in line there. I left the line to go to that site, and there was no voting site there.
Guess what? Guess what? The best way to fix that.
I text Glenn.
That's the best way to fix it. And you're right.
And he, listen, he was extremely responsive.
Look, that's good.
But let me say this. Even if it was not me, if I did not know Glenn Gelzine personally and I would have texted some of that information, he would have responded the same exact way. That's what I know him to be. So.
And since you brought that up, I guess I cannot not say, because Glenn is not running for that office.
Right.
But Glenn is putting some things in place that, in my opinion, are being concrete. And
I hope that they continue.
Yeah, and those things that we're talking about is the initiative of OC Vote, voter outreach, training, and engagement, which, man, we've been critical about political parties coming in, dropping a couple of dollars in, Greg, 30 days before the race?
Yeah, you can't do it like that.
Well, now Supervisor of Election Glenn Gelzine has put in place $1 million $1 million regular and ongoing cycle of voter outreach, training, and engagement that will be around long after he's gone.
So I'm just going to say this. Karen Castadental, when you become the supervisor of elections, we know that you will continue some of the programs and some of the initiatives that Brother Glenn Gelzine put into place because they are great ideas that work. So
I like the way you did that. I like the way you did that. Yeah.
You like that, right?
Okay, I like
right,
that.
You like that. So go ahead and clip this up, send that to our good friend Karen Castadental.
I'm going to definitely do that. Okay, so that was the supervisor of election race. Great. The next big race, local big race.
Well, actually, this is actually the bigger race. We
Yeah.
just kind of just talked about the supervisor of elections race because it's kind of impactful for what we're talking about. But the biggest race here in Orange County, Brother Love, is the state attorney race. That is the race involving the current state attorney, Andrew Bain, who was appointed because the then state attorney, Monique Royale, was removed from her position, much like the state attorney before her, which was Aramis Ayala. I actually said when people were telling me that these $1,000 lawyers were going to come in and prove the governor wrong, DeSantis as well as Scott.
You did make
and
that call.
I said, listen, they absolutely have the power to do it. They did, and the courts have upheld that. And so Andrew Bain and Monique Royale, Andrew Bain has been doing an outstanding job as a state attorney. There has been a level of accountability. There has been a level of trust that has returned to that office. You have state attorneys that are returning to that office that are doing great work, that know that the state attorney has their back. And I think that Andrew Bain, should remain. And I'm not going to say deserve, because what it is that he's doing the work of the people. So I think that the people of Orange County and Osceola County, they deserve, not Andrew Bain deserves that office.
They deserve
The people of Orange County and Osceola County deserve someone that is as studious, someone that is as committed as State Attorney Andrew Bain in doing the work and keeping the public safe.
And that's it. I mean, you know what? I can't even step on that, Greg. Keeping the public safe. And Andrew Bain is finding himself in spaces and places when you're talking about talking to young people to stay out of his system, looking at what diversion programs that are appropriate. I understand second chances, but I also understand what needs to be in place as a deterrent. State Attorney Andrew Bain he's been putting in the work, And Greg, I don't know what else it is to say about, and I like the way you coined this, Orange and Seminole County
Osceola.
voters. I'm Orange and Osceola. I'm sorry. Deserve an individual that's going to make sure that the public is safe.
Absolutely. And listen, we see a difference. I don't know if you noticed it also, Brother Love, but we see a difference even in how law enforcement is responding to crime.
You're right.
concerns.
You're right.
Because now they feel that they have a state attorney that is not just going to let people go and get back on the street.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
So,
So, Greg, we got two more state rep races, man. What
I mean, listen, the state rep race that I want to talk about personally. I mean, I don't know if you have one that you want to talk about, but Doug Bankston. Doug Bankston is running for re-election in the Orange County area. I want to say Orange and Lake Counties area.
Yes.
Or is this Orange?
Orange and Lake.
And he has done an outstanding job. I mean, I've had a chance to sit down and speak to him personally, but I'm in full disclosure. I'm a Democrat, he's a Republican, but I believe in what he says so much until I have actually, contributed to his campaign. Listen, if someone comes through and they are aligned with the things that I believe in, I don't just talk about it. And I want people to understand this. You gotta sometimes put your money where your mouth is, and you have
And vote
to
your
be-
values.
And vote
That's
your
right.
values.
And
You're
vote
right,
your
Doc.
values, that's right. And let me say this now. I didn't give Doug Bankston nearly as much money that I've set aside to put back into the community. I want the Democratic Party to take a chapter out of that book.
Man, well, since we're talking about state rep races, and I concur with you on Representative Doug Bankston. I mean, he's been putting in the work, but somebody who's going into their last term is Representative David Smith. And when I say this
Oh,
is
yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
who, Greg, all you got to do is look at the body of his work.
Yeah.
And he is in District 38, and that's Seminole County.
Mhm.
Man, what more can I say? And through disclosure,
Mm-hmm.
man, I've been going over the past 4 weeks now with Representative Smith in Seminole County and going and sitting down with those pastors, with those bishops. He's been going into, Greg, when's the last time, man? I remember growing up, I used to see people come to the black church
Yeah.
and it just tapered off.
Yeah.
And so Representative Dave Smith said, Rod, where else do I need to go where people need the help? And I say, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
And for the last
He said
3-4
yeah.
weeks,
He said yeah.
he said yes. And man, I tell you, we've been going. So those are the two state rep races that, and Greg, I don't know if there's Representative Placentia, she's been putting in the work.
I know you want to talk about Plakin also.
Oh, and Rachel Plakin. I'm sorry, you're right. And matter of fact, Rachel Plakin is the wife of one of our good friends, Scott Plakin,
Yeah.
when he was in the House.
But listen, though, I don't want people to sit here and think that I'm just going lockstep with the Republicans because of my friend. No, that ain't the case. Strong supporters of Representative Bruce Antone.
Oh, yeah.
We
Oh, yeah.
love Representative Bracy Davis. There's no doubt about that. Although we were supporting Randy Bracy for the state Senate race, we are continuing to be big fans of Geraldine Thompson. So don't just think that we're sitting here and that I'm just going along with Republicans. No, I go along with people who believe in the values that I believe in.
And Representative Brooke Antine, you know I'm your guy. Hey, we got two more folk here.
So we got to do that quick, though.
Yeah. Orange County Commission race.
First, seat one.
Seat
Wilson.
one, Wilson
Arthur.
and Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Austin was in the studio with us,
Yep.
did a great job. He told the people where he's coming from. Hey, I look forward to a great outcome for you, Austin.
Absolutely.
The other race that we've
Uribe.
also had
Uribe.
Commissioner Uribe in the studio.
And she's running against someone who is a former state representative, state senator, as well as a former county commissioner in the body of Linda Stewart. But one of the things that impressed me a great deal about our friend Commissioner Uribe was the fact that she is not afraid to push back and fight for the community.
And she's been doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
was
in
probably-
fact, and today she had the ethics complaint with her thrown out.
Hey,
very nice,
and so,
outstanding.
congratulations,
Outstanding.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, Commissioner Uribe, we look forward to working with you in the future. And Greg, to that, my friend, I think we almost there, man. Doc, you got anything for the good of the order? Because tomorrow's the day.
My hope for the outcome
Quickly.
is that we change. This is changing of the guard.
Changing
We
the
get
guard,
all-
I like
it.
Yeah, I'm down here in God's waiting room, so I'm tired of all these old folks running everything. We need to hand it over to the young people.
All right, General.
Listen, man, go out and exercise your right to vote. As I always say, your right to vote is not so much right to your vote, so make sure that you vote for the person that best represents your beliefs and your goals. If it's someone that you don't like and you go in there, you don't have to put someone's name on there. So, oh, and also remember the marijuana and the abortion amendments. Those are going to be very hot topics as well.
On that note, get out the vote. Hey, my brother, the general, you don't have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
We'll see you next week on Let's Talk Nation.